Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Another filmmaker interview. I'm Sophia Lucia Perola, and we are in our 23rd year. From March 27th through March 30th, you can check out over 200 films in Asbury Park, New Jersey, and Cranford, New Jersey. You can see the lineup up at gsff.org. Get your tickets and all that good stuff. You can see what's going on at the festival this year. And one of the things you can check out is a short film, part of our high school category, called Depraved. We have a returning filmmaker. He was here last year. And I'm going to have you guys introduce yourselves and your titles in the film. So take us away, director.
Thank you so much for having us on again this year. Super grateful to be able to go into the Garden State Film Festival again this year. My name is Josiah Ortiz. I am the director, actor, editor, composer for this film, Depraved. This is my dad, Ray Ortiz. He was one of the main stars in the film, and my aunt, Marielle. She was also she was my co-star in the film for Depraved.
Hello, everybody. Beautiful
Hello,
introductions, Josias,
hello.
and congratulations to
Thank
all.
you. Thank you.
You.
I really am so happy when I get to interview people that I've seen past work, not only because it's like we got a rapport and I'm so happy to see your films grow, but because I get to see how different too. Last year we were doing a family documentary.
Right.
I remember, I'll never forget it. And another great film, but very, very different. This is a more darker narrative, right?
Yes.
Josias, as our director, writer, can you tell us all a little bit about Depraved?
Yeah, so Depraved follows a young man who is dealing with a lot of built up trauma from his past, and he ends up acting on this trauma and proceeds to do abhorrent acts onto other people that was done to him when he was younger. That's the synopsis of the film.
Yes.
So I
We're not gonna give
play the
too
main
much
character
away.
of the film. Wait, I'm sorry. What's that?
Oh no, I said we're not going to give too much away. That was perfect.
Oh
But
yeah.
continue, please.
I play the main character in the film. His name is Jabez, and my dad is the one who plays the protagonist's father, and my aunt is the one who plays the psychiatrist of the film, who he goes to try to seek help for these things that he ends up for this this traumatic experiences that he experienced when he was younger. He's trying to get help for that, and so
Right.
that's where my aunt plays a part in. She's the one he goes to.
Yes. And you played up, all of you played your parts very, very well.
Thank you.
And I love that it's like a little family production. So talk to me, how did, Marielle and Ray, how did you feel when Josias asked, or did you have to audition? What was this casting process like?
Oh, well, I was definitely excited that he thought of me. Josias has known what he wanted to do for as long as I can remember. And he's tapped into so many different types of videos, whether they were funny, a little bit more serious, horror. So I didn't know what to expect, but I knew it was going to be good. So I just said, sign me up, whatever it was. And it was just a very interesting film to be a part of.
You had a lot of lines there,
I
Marielle. You
did.
were good. Do we have acting in your history, and like, did you
Uh,
want to play a therapist? Is this like a
Honestly, if he asked me to be a tree, I would be
oh,
delighted. I grew up actually in film and theater at school. Well, not the film, right? But theater and in school. I definitely did like leading roles as a child, though. Once I got to about high school, they were more musicals. And unfortunately, I'm not a singer.
yeah.
So I kind of just tapped out of that and worked and went to school. So seeing the enthusiasm from my nephew and his professionalism and perfectionist, I mean, I'm just like, this is perfect for me. And I'm always going to support him and whatever he needs me to do, whether it's holding a camera, whether being in front of the camera, I would be delighted.
Lucky nephew. No, but you killed it,
Thank
especially
you.
not having acted since you were young.
Yeah, it's been a long
You know,
time. I mean, I do act at home,
we all
when I'm by
do.
myself, but
We all we're constantly acting, right?
Mm.
Ray, what about you? You're very different than playing the therapist. You are, I guess, we won't give anything away, but your role was quite a role. How did you feel about playing that part?
Uh, Actually, it was last minute. Um, he did have someone else I guess, film that whole entire part. There were two different people. Unfortunately, something happened with the audio, and it was last minute, and he needed to film it again. And we were home. I was available. It was a tough role, actually, just because I'm not an actor, and I had to tap into that. Josiah kept coaching me and telling me, just to get in a certain mindset to be able to do that character. Um, I did have to take a minute or two after, a bunch of takes because he's a perfectionist. It was just getting into that mindset and be able to get out of it. It emotional for me. So it was tough, but it was fun also. So
Wow. Yeah, definitely taking the time to get into the character, and then thanks for mentioning that, because taking the time to get out of it and decompress is just as important, especially when it comes to a role like that. But you killed it, especially for not. Yeah, I'm like very impressed too, and that's not an easy role to make believable. Very, very well done. Speaking of also being so great in your roles, Josias, like so grounded, so good. You
Thank you.
obviously wrote the role, right? You had yourself in mind? Did you want to play this part before? Was it easy to tap into? How did you feel about playing our lead?
So when I came up with the concept, it was just something that kind of came to my head like out of the blue, so to speak. Like I was just trying to figure out an idea that I wanted to make for my sophomore year film, that I wanted to really like, be more of like a big like whoa kind of thing, and I wanted to like provide that for an audience. And just randomly, just like me sitting down thinking about that, this twisted concept came into my head. And so I just started I started writing this concept down. And when I wrote the character, I wasn't 100% sure how I was going to play him. But then I did have it in my head that I wanted to play him though. Like I did know that I wanted to portray the character. And the way I would prepare for the role was, I would, before we got to set the first day that we shot it with my aunt, I listened to the soundtrack to the Joker film from 2019. That kind of helped me get into the mindset, because that the soundtrack is super like dark and ominous and sorrow sounding. So when I listened to it, it kind of helped me get into the mindset of Jabez's character, to be able to portray him in my, to the best of my ability.
So that's how you got into character. I also love making playlists for my roles. So
Mhm.
very, very cool. Thanks for sharing that. Did you also have any other inspirations when it came to the film itself? Like you said, that soundtrack was really helping you get into the character. Like, what about this film? Like, were you inspired by other artists, other films, other pieces of work that you've seen, or just like, did you pull inspiration from anywhere in your life? Any influences?
I did pull inspiration from other films subconsciously, because
Mm-hmm.
I went and rewatched The Sixth Sense after I had made the film, and I realized like, oh wow, like there's this aspect that I kind of took inspiration from, and this aspect I took inspiration from without even realizing it. And I love The Sixth Sense. I've seen that film like a million times, and this is one of my favorite horror movies. And so, horror thriller. And so I was like, it kind of shocked me when I rewatched it again, and I realized like certain things that I was getting inspired by. Like, I didn't even notice that. So I
Yeah.
was like subconsciously inspired by The Sixth Sense as well. That was that's another one of my favorite films as well that I like.
Yeah. Awesome. That reminds me, I have to rewatch that. So thanks for bringing that to my attention. Marielle, is there anything you had to do to get into character to try to like stretch that acting bone again after it's been so long?
To be honest, I'm pretty. I'm more of an animated kind of person. Like you can tell so much from my face and my enthusiasm. So I had to kind of tone it down and really not give too many expressions, and actually just kind of tap into that kind of character. So it was a little tough, and sometimes I would be like, no, 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 redo it, because I was, making too many faces, or I felt like I was kind of judging when obviously a psychiatrist wouldn't be judgy. So that was the only like tough part of that. But I mean, other than that, I think once I saw some of the playbacks, I said, okay, this is good. This is coming out really good.
How did you both feel like being directed by your nephew too? Like, and Josiah's piggybacking that. How did you feel directing your family? Is this something that was easy for you guys to get into? A little frustrating? Like, how was that process?
It was partially like I'd say like in the middle, because like my dad did mention, for my dad's scenes that my mom was also in, um, it was I was in a weird time area because I had a very short time period to do it, and so this was just I think like on a random Sunday, and we just wanted to do it. We did the scene. I told them everything about the scene, and I was trying to bring them through the motions. And I didn't realize in the moment how tough the actual scene was to be able to do, and for my
Hmm.
to get into that type of role, and to be able to be afraid and be that aggressive towards essentially their son, because I was the one behind the camera for that scene. And so, and they're talking to they're supposed to be talking to their son. And
Mhm.
so when they were doing this scene, they kind of had to like tell me like, Bobby, give me a second. And I didn't really understand until like afterwards as to
Mhm.
why they like, you know what I mean? I didn't really get it. Um, but with my aunt, she was super excited to do it. You know what I mean? We were at my grandmother's house. We were doing it there, and both all of my family takes direction super well. So I was super grateful and thankful to be able to have them on set with us, with me and my other crew members.
He's
Mhm.
tough. He's tough. Right? He's a perfectionist. He wants to do it over and over and over again. So, our scene, I think we probably shot, I don't know, maybe
It was relatively like short scene, so I think it took us maybe like 2.5 hours to do for the whole thing.
40 takes. What? Yeah.
Whew, quite, yeah, that could be draining, especially with roles like that. But fun, but challenging. All
And
right, okay. Marielle,
yeah,
how did you feel being directed by your nephew?
oh, I have no problem with it. First, because I've seen his work and how seriously he takes it. So I was excited for the call. The funny thing with the question about the family, it's sometimes we're like, okay, we want to record this weekend. Oh, but it's this person's birthday, so we can't. Or who's gonna watch the kids if when we're
Mhm.
doing this because so many people were involved. So that's the funny part about when you're working with family. But no problems at all. He's actually given me much more appreciation towards film because I'm seeing the other side of it, and I'm like, wow, this is more work than I even imagined.
Right.
So I was happy that he trusted me with that kind of dedication, because it's tough to find someone who's going to want to dedicate all that time and learn these lines and have it and act in it the way that he would want. And I'm happy that he's happy with the project.
Yeah. Now, you guys are all very lucky. I know if I asked my family to help me out with some film, number one, it'd be hard to do it, and they would be groaning and want me to pay them. So you all are very supportive, and such. That's really really beautiful to see. Josias, this is not your first film here at Garza Film Festival. I know this isn't your first film to begin with. I know it won't be the last. You're growing as an artist, obviously learning things as you go. You just mentioned like something you learned with filming with your parents, giving them that time. What are one or two things you learned from so far in your filming career and making Depraved that you're going to take with you to your next project, or maybe someone watching might be inspired hearing?
I definitely say time management, scheduling, and knowing your crew around you. Not only like your actors, but like your everybody who's helping out on set, your DP, your sound person, knowing all of that, and to be able to direct them in a way that is understandable for them. You know, still working on that, but
Mhm.
that's something that I'm trying to. That's something that I'm trying to grow in
No,
Yeah.
terms of my direction style and everything like that. Trying to be able to hone in on a couple of things and definitely help out everybody on my crew, and of course all my actors, because there's been times where I'll pay attention to my actor, but I didn't get a chance to tell my crew something, and so it kind of we kind of have to restart over again. I got to tell my crew and everything like that. So I definitely say time management and making sure that the director directs the whole crew. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I love that. And I especially love, knowing who you're working with because then you know how to speak that language. Everybody's a little different.
Right, right.
Really, really cool. It has been a pleasure talking to you guys once again and seeing Depraved. Let me tell everyone watching how you can watch it. It will be screening Saturday, March 29th at Asbury Lanes. The film block is 9:30 a.m. to 11:45 a.m. Going to be a lot of awesome films in that film block. So check out gsff.org/tickets for all those tickets. Congratulations again to all of you, Josias, pleasure talking to you again, and I hope to see you guys at the festival.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you so
having us.
much.
We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Have a
Thank
good
you.
night, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Good
Bye.
night.
Bye.
Bye.